Yeah, this is a very, very important question actually, because there's a lot of guys who very much disagree with marriage, and I think a lot of us online right now have seen the arguments, right? So, arguments for and against marriage. Recently, you only really hear arguments against marriage, which is that guys don't benefit that much from it because the laws are quite blatantly sexist towards women. If there is any problems in the relationship, the woman can divorce, and usually the man is more successful than her, and so she'll get more money and stuff, right? So there's a lot of problems we've seen, and a lot of relationships do end up in marriage. One thing that Chris Williamson told me, so he's the host of the Modern Wisdom podcast, really, really intelligent guy. Like, he's done multiple podcasts with Jordan Peterson, really smart guy, done hundreds of episodes with researchers. So he investigates like the research onto relationships. And yeah, we ended up speaking, and one thing he just said to me was, of the reasons why divorce isn't worthy, it's all based on statistics of the average person. So, the average marriage lasts 10 years. 40% of marriages end in divorce and stuff. And Chris started shouting. He was like, but you're not average. You're not average. Like, listen, you're not supposed to listen to these statistics because they're based on just normal people. And you never wanted to live that life anyway. So first of all, just think right now that all of the beliefs we probably have about marriage, especially recently, the negative ones that a lot of people are talking about, it's just based on like statistical averages. So on average, most marriages are unhappy. On average, most marriages are like dead bedrooms where they're not even having sex anymore. On average, the woman will push forward the divorce, not the man, and everything. On average this, on average this. But okay, but on average, guys our age are fucking losers. On average, people are fat. On average, guys have got low. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so imagine if we were sat here like, oh, guys, on average, men are fat. Like, what the fuck? Like, why would imagine we said that and we just started to eat more after that? It's like, no, just shut the fuck up, right? Like,
Yeah.
who cares what some fat motherfuckers are doing, right? So we didn't plan to be average. That's why we're in this call right now. That's why we're on self-improvement. That's why we exercise, we meditate, we do these weird things, right? So just understand, first of all, that whatever beliefs we have about marriage, we need to actually destroy them and just start from the beginning again. So let's start completely fresh. What is actually the point in marriage? There's two reasons. One is to get married in front of the government, and two is to get married in front of God. Now, I think to make this the easiest way, we can make this the shortcut. If you're very religious, get married in front of God. It doesn't even have to be a religious ceremony. So, for example, my brother is married in a mosque, but it's not actually like a political, like, government marriage. So it's like they did the full ceremony, her family, our family, big thing, it's a full-on real marriage, religious nikah, yeah, real marriage, but it's no, like, government official stuff. Eventually, if some problems happen, they can, if worst case scenario, his wife might be able to, like, say, no, we are married in a prenup, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, some bullshit can still happen. And my brother just said this to me today. So, like, either way, if you're going to get into a long-term relationship and you're going to have children with this woman, she's getting 50% of what you've got. Whether you're married or not, it's like she's getting 50%. If you've had children with a woman, she's getting 50% of what you've got. It's just as simple as that. Like, if you're married or you're not married, it doesn't matter. She's getting most of, like, or a good chunk of your wealth. Okay, so straight away, okay, so it's like, if you're having children with her, already assume that, like, the negative of marriage where you lose 50% of all your assets, it's already on the line anyway. If you don't want to have children with her, then you don't need to listen to this conversation, but let's talk about, okay, a real long-term relationship where you're going to end up getting into becoming parents as well, right? So at that point, it's like, the risk is already there. If you have children with her, the risk is relatively the same as if you were married. In fact, it's actually kind of lower because you're less likely to split up if you went through the extra effort of getting married. So this is where marriage actually has an ROI, which guys don't speak about. There's two main return on investments, like positives of a marriage that I have seen, which people online don't really speak about these days. One extra thing just quickly is to remember, like, a lot of people are, even in like the red pill space, in the content we consume and stuff, a lot of people are degenerates. And so they're very against, like, this idea of traditionalism, even though all these guys online say that, degeneracy is bad. It's like, they're all degenerates as well, first of all, right? So just remember, like, the only only real way to not be a degenerate is to marry the woman that you're with. That's the only true way. That's literally the one cure to degeneracy is marriage, first of all. There's two reasons then, or two main benefits of marriage that you can consider. One is that the commitment you both give to each other makes it a lot harder for you to leave. When you're not married, but let's say you live together, imagine if there's some problems and there's friction to leave, right? Oh, we're both on the tenancy, we have this house together, we have a dog together, we've got a child together, you know, there's friction to leave, right? Now imagine if you add in marriage to that, and all of your family members, all of her family members have seen this. It's social proof. It's it's God level, literally God level accountability. That is powerful. Now, of course, it's not that powerful if 40% of average people are getting divorced, but it's certainly a big step up, right? How likely? Let's say there's a big problem in the relationship. How likely is a couple who don't even live together, don't have, they just see each other once a week, and they're now going through some problems, they're probably going to end up splitting up because there's no incentive, there's no friction to leaving, right? But the couple that live together, have a dog together, have children together, have the mortgage together, they're more likely to stay. So this is called friction, the level of friction to the exit. There's a certain term. This is what software businesses really think about, is that for entrepreneurship is how hard is it for them to leave our service. So, for example, if you can make it hard for someone to, for example, for you guys, you don't want to leave this community, right? Because there's a lot of things that tie you here. If suddenly for example, all of these calls were just kind of solo, for example, and there was no one else, and no one even knew you in here, you'd be a lot more likely to leave if you wanted to. But if people know you, everyone knows you, Santi is the mustache man, right? So everyone already knows you, everyone's seen the questions, I've got inside jokes with you and stuff. It would be a lot more awkward for you to consider exiting this relationship, wouldn't it? That's accountability, yeah, that's beautiful. Sure. And so this is how business people use it. They use it with software especially. So you get used to using a certain platform, social media, software, maybe the phone line that you use, and then there's friction to changing it over. So often it's the grass is greener, I might change it over, but it's not even worth my effort, fuck it, they're only $5 a month cheaper, I'm not gonna. Friction's good for us. Friction keeps you in the same place. Marriage is a huge friction. Really, really big friction. Especially if you're religious and you genuinely believe like God has been watching, that's amazing. Even if you're not religious, just assume straight away that your family's going to be there, her family's going to be there, you're going to make these vows, even maybe not in front of God, maybe just on the beach somewhere in your marriage. That's still very, very valuable. So that's a huge thing, is that you add the commitment to each other. Jordan Peterson says that a wife isn't a car, and that we shouldn't test drive, in that we should actually give each other the commitment. Because he says that when a husband and a wife are having problems, that's the reason why they work it out, is because they both believe that we have to, because it's too hard for us to just split up. You'd look like a moron in front of your family if you just split up when you were getting some problems, and your family are more likely to defend you and to defend her. So imagine right now, let's say even for your woman, you're going through some problems and you're married, and she goes to her family and says oh, I just don't know what to do, I just don't really feel like I can do this anymore. If you're married, her family are more likely to say no, calm down, this is what happens between husband and wife, this is what we should do, and remember you did that thing, so come on, make up, and we can do this, and you can try this, we'll have you shred this, and yeah, he probably was wrong about this, but you've got to make up, you did this and this. But now imagine you were on the extreme other end, you were just some casual guy that she was seeing. Oh yeah, fuck him. Yeah, whatever. Oh, you're too good for him, girl. It's that friction, that commitment that you show to each other that other people respect. And it's those micro moments, because you will have 20,000 conflicts in the rest of your life, maybe more. And you're going to want to wish that all of her family and support network are going to say to her during all these conflicts when she goes to them for support, oh no, come on, you're married, this is your husband, this is how we work things out. You're going to wish that, and you're going to hope that you've got this too, which will keep you two together. And the reason for that is because long-term relationships just awesome to be able to grow with each other and have that value. There is one final thing then, is another benefit of marriage is that it increases straight away the quality of woman that you can get. Because the truth is, lower tier women don't expect you to marry them. It's just as simple as that. Lower tier women do not expect you to marry them. Certainly, there's still some like bad women who want to get married, fine. But in general, women who want to get married, or let's say in general, better women will enforce that they want marriage more to the point, which is those ultimate top tier women who literally don't even date guys. They just will get married first. You know, these are the girls who genuinely will not even have sex with a guy before marriage. These are like literally the highest value women that there are, right? There's not many of them in the world, but like when you think about it, so it's like, okay, just being open to marriage unlocks a higher tier of woman, and it's almost like a test for your woman. It's like if she doesn't want to get married, and you know, if she's got a good reason, she's quite based and she's like, okay, anti-government, okay, fair enough. But if she doesn't think about it at all, it's like, you know, it's kind of says something about her. Not the wedding, right? But just remember this, not like the fairy tale wedding, that's like materialism and stuff, but the act of marriage and commitment. If she doesn't like really crave your long-term commitment, and she doesn't want to give it to you, and she doesn't want to gather the family to see you two make the vows, it's like that might be a little bit of a red flag to show that, okay, her values maybe not that high. And just quickly, then the last other thing I would say is it actually makes her genuinely love you more if you do it right. So as we're reading the way the superior man, again, on average, guys do this wrong, right? So we can't just follow what they say. But pretty much the grasp, like what you'll grasp from this book, this is like the ultimate Bible for man's relationship with the world and with his woman. And what you'll really grasp, if there was like a few core lessons, is that women desperately need security and commitment. A woman's true like love blossoms when you show her that you have this unwavering commitment to her, this like undisturbed love for her. And so you can tell her your logical answers as to, oh yeah, you know, the government interview, but it's like, oh yeah, sure, and you know, she can accept it in a logical answer, but her feminine energy needs that level of commitment from you. This is like how we were able to get to like the next level of like male and female dynamics, was when man started to say, like in front of his God, I am with you, I will protect you, I will provide for you. And certainly the job is not done after that. The goal is not marriage, right? The goal is to be happily married for 80 years. But when you've given this commitment to this feminine woman who is inherently anxious, who inherently overthinks and has this inherent like abandonment issue, most women do, even healthy women still, you know, anxious about abandonment sometimes. You put her onto the next level of like openness. Most guys squander that gift, and straight afterwards they're not implementing principles like this, and you know, they're just wasting time, they turn into idiots and stuff, and they just go to work and, you know, just act like chumps. But there is a large amount of value that comes from curing her anxieties, to say like, look, like, you know, this is the commitment I'm making to you. What do you think about all that, Santi?
That you're officially my best man and everyone else is invited to my wedding, man. Yeah, but no, I appreciate it. That's really good advice. And I mean, you just confirmed what I wanted to believe, that marriage is a way to go because of the things that he said, the security that he gives to the woman. The only thing that I'm still kind of struggling with is age, you know, and honestly, it's a bit of like Chris, you know, like Chris is a person, like, he's all about like trying to delay it as much as possible. So that changed my mind, because otherwise I'm 27 and I was thinking of doing it this year. If I was going to go for it, it's like this year. But now I really don't know about age. What do you think quickly about age?
I don't think age is a factor you should consider at all, personally, because age is it's kind of like this weird metric that's not actually a valuable like indicator for anything when you think about it. Because there's guys who are 16 years old and more wise than us, and there's men who are 45-year-old and they're complete idiots. So age, I don't think age actually matters. I think we shouldn't just ask, okay, how old are you? I think we should ask, are you logically ready? So a big mistake, and I think where a lot of divorces come from and unhappy marriages come from, is emotions. I don't think we should get married based on emotions. I think that's the huge problem these days, is romance is overrated, honestly. Romance should be like the the cream on a cake. It should be like, the cherry on top romance. But relationships have not been romantic for most of life. They've just been logical. I am man, she is woman. I am fertile, she is fertile. Okay, sweet. For 90,000 years, we lived like that. And then we switched into more of a intellectual one, which is I am man, she is woman, she's fertile, I'm fertile, she's a virgin. I can take that. And also, her family is high quality. Now we're talking. Those relationships are brutally more successful than the ones based on romance. Now, if you add all three layers at once, well, that's probably a top 1% relationship. So what I would ask you is, okay, let's forget about your age, but let's think about some logical metrics, some logical decisions that we can ask of, are you or would you be financially ready for this? Is this the right woman? Not based on how you feel of like, oh, it's fun to spend time with her, but let's talk about let's talk about data. Let's talk about some real like facts. Okay, she is this. Her parents are like this. Not that her parents are nice to me or anything, but like, okay, her parents are still married. They've been married for 26 years. Her parents are religious. It's like, it's almost like it's not exactly a binary, like yes or no. Obviously, in the end, almost everything is kind of like a scale of like, okay, how religious are they? But it's just something to consider. Like, you've said, okay, with age, I would take that away and I would ask you, what logical arguments are you using to determine if you're ready or not?
Yeah, man, yeah, like, to be fair, yeah, I'm very logical about stuff like this, and I have my list of pros and cons, and it's literally the ones enlisted. And I'll be honest with you, I actually would like your feedback on that. Like, well, her dad is a vicar, right? So they're from England. Like, my girlfriend is from England, I'm from South America. We live here together, right, for 4 years so far, I think. And yeah, so her family is religious, they're married. But the only problem that I've seen after reading The Way of the Superior Man is that they're very depolarized. Like her parents, right? So yeah, like the dad is not that masculine, the mother's a little bit more feminine, but like that has been a big thing because I've heard you say how like the biggest indicator of a high value woman or just a woman that is like able to explore her femininity is that her father needs to be masculine. So to be honest with you, that's been one of the biggest cons in the list, but I don't really know how much weight it carries. But yeah, what do you think?
Okay, so her parents aren't very polarized, her father's not very masculine, her mother's not very feminine. At the moment, with more experiences that I've had, that's something that I'm caring a lot less than what their polarity is like. The reason why is because now that, we're practicing these things, we realize like how easy it is to slip into depolarization. One thing leads to another, and before you know it, the guy's been working full time, he's forgot, he's working late one day, and then, before they know it, it's like they've not had sex for a month and stuff. It's a sad existence. We don't want to live like that. But that's not one of like the metrics that I personally really care about in terms of their sexual polarity. It'd be awesome if your daughter your future wife grew up seeing polarized parents. That's really awesome because she would stem from that. But to be fair, it's like, even when women haven't seen that, if you're polarized with them, then they're still polarized with you. Do you know what I mean? So it's that's what it is. But I would say more important things are risks for divorce. So I would say, for example, logical answers, if I could give you some logical questions, is, does she have degenerate hoe friends?
I removed them from her life. Yeah. She used to. Yeah.
So one thing we can say is, best case scenario, she never had them, right? Absolute best case, unicorn, right? Best case scenario, right? But yeah, chances are we have done some things which aren't the best case scenario either. So usually on level, you kind of meet a woman who's your complementary opposite, and the fact that you've helped her remove them, and depending on like your analysis of this, if it was like a true transformation for her. Women are very, as men as well, women are very like social creatures, anxious and stuff, and so oftentimes like it's normal for me, for example, I can meet a woman who's got hoe friends, and it's only really as she meets you she begins to see more of the light of like the anti-modern hoe times, and she starts to realize how bad those people are, and it almost like hits her like a just basic common sense realization of like, yeah, like, what, I don't even like them. I just kind of hang out with them. And now that, you know, you, like the man in her life, voices that they're not good for her, straight away, it's like no complaining. She's like, yep, this is right. Was that somewhat similar for you?
It was a struggle, but I did manage to make her see that. And it's been years now. And she, like, actually yesterday I was telling her, like, do you regret your former friendships? And she's like, no, because they had good things. But yeah, she wouldn't find friends like that anymore. And when she goes back to England, she does visit them, but like she's like, oh, you're in a different stage of life, you know, because they're very masculine, they're very like all about drugs, all about party and shit like that. But I think she now realizes the value of like good friendships. Yeah.
That's something that I'd want to control. So personally, I'm quite extreme. So it's like, for me, it's like, I don't want her to even visit them. I don't want her to have their phone number anymore. For me, my girl, she got a whole new phone number and everything, and she's got 5 people in her contact list. I like to go quite extreme, just because like I live that way. I've got 10 people in my contact list, you know what I mean? So just something to bear in mind. These are things that I think most men are too scared to manage. And I certainly think that you can go, you know, the other side, the sort of like you know, red pill alpha male thing, and that can certainly be bad because it can make you seem insecure, and it can kind of ruin like the loving dynamic. You should never really guide your woman through aggression and force and like, oh, if you're like this, then I'll leave you and stuff, because I've done that before. And the woman, she will comply because they love us, but the resentment will build, and you'll realize that she's complying out of force, and that's never a good thing. You want her to comply because she believes it's a good idea. And so it seems like you've done it well, and you know, she still cares about her social life and stuff, which is absolutely normal. I'd ask other things as well, like how much does she crave validation? What's her social media usage like? Is she posting pictures of you guys all the time, or is she posting a bunch of pictures by herself? Is she like, you know, is there guys on Instagram who she still follows, or is the guys who follow her? These dynamics.
Yeah, all good in that area. Like honestly, I think that has improved over time. Yeah, like it's pretty ideal. She doesn't post, you know, like OnlyFans shit, or like she doesn't have guys DMing her. So no, we're all good in that area. I don't think she craves that validation. So yeah, we're pretty good in that area. Yeah.
Sweet. These feel more like minor things of just quick checklists, right? Just to kind of see like what woman, and you've been with your girl for a very long time, so it's like you already know these things. But this is just for my understanding and for the boys to hear as well. But we can get on to some deeper things which seem very blue pill. But I'm not gonna lie, every guy that I look up to, I really look up to, this is the few things that they actually value, which we'll speak about now, which this is what made me take a step back from like the red pill, first man, and E-man, and you know, Andrew Tate type of stuff, because those guys seem really good. But I'm gonna be honest, for the guys that I truly think are like the fucking like men, like Jordan Peterson, Alex Hormozi, they all say the exact same things, and it seems so like blue pill pussy, but this is what all these, like, I think the real like G's are saying, right? And they literally are the 3 magical words: mission, values, interests. We'll go one by one. No, we'll go through all 3, okay? Mission is where you want to go to, what you want to achieve. So it's like, if you had to summarize what you want to achieve in your life and your relationship with her, and you know, like, we want to raise healthy, productive children whilst also having a really loving, supportive, secure life with a fantastic sex life. That would be like the mission. And it's not just to get married. I mean, some people's mission is to get married and they don't realize after that, but I think a good mission is like, okay, I want to be 80 years old and still fucking. Like, honestly, I still think that's a really, because you don't want to be one of those people who don't consider this, right? So that's mission.
Yeah.
Values is how you will get there. So first we decide, okay, the goal, the destination, where are we going? To a lifetime of love, something like this, right? You will help you pick your one. Values is how you will get there, the way that you'll live, like in terms of, okay, do we do this thing or do we not do this thing? Is that thing right or is that thing wrong? So for us, we've got quite specific values in terms of, like, we think degeneracy is probably wrong. We think that wasting time on instant gratification is probably wrong. We probably think that drinking too often is probably wrong. Some people don't actually value the same thing as us. And finally, interests, we can say, is more like hobbies, like just what you want to spend your time doing. So if I ask you right now for your honest answer, if you don't think about your wife at all, but just for you as like an individual person, what would be your mission when it comes to long-term relationship, marriage, children? How would you describe it?
Financial freedom and freedom from the control of the system. Yeah.
Nice. How about for specifically in relation to like your wife? What kind of like what's the accomplishments that you'd like to have with her?
Remaining loyal to each other for a long period of time and raising mentally strong children.
Nice. Nice. That's good. Values. How will you get there? What is right? What is wrong?
Oh shit. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that one?
Yeah. So imagine the mission, right? So yours was remaining loyal for a very long time, raising mentally healthy children. Values is like not the specific hobbies and interests, or like meditation and stuff, right? Values is more like we value self-improvements. We value patience. We value presence and time together and physical touch and dates, things like that. Maybe data is a bit more of the interest, but like, you know, like quality time together. For you, for example, a thing that I like, even though a lot of people criticize it, is the love languages. So have you heard that before?
Yeah.
So is yours like a part of your value should be okay, well, we will get to the mission in a way that feels like it is right for you and the things that you know are true about the world. So I'm assuming, just for you, I'm assuming it's like gonna be self-improvement related. Is that right?
Yeah,
Something
for sure.
like
Yeah,
delayed
correct.
gratification. We'll work hard. We'll be like disciplined in this thing. We know that some bits won't be easy, but we'll, you know, would have adversity. Is there some things that you would say for this?
Yeah, for sure. Like discipline and long-term thinking. Yeah.
And then finally, interests, hobbies. So these are things that you literally just do, you know, at 11 a.m. Okay, you've got this community that you enjoy. Maybe you like going to the gym, you like eating clean, you like looking into finance, these things, right?
Yeah, exactly. Literally that.
So you take these three things that you've just spoke about, and you should do this in your own time. You should really journal about this.
Yeah.
And you want to see how much of an overlap there is with your woman. Because the best case scenario, actually, there's a very big overlap, especially with the first two. You don't need to have all the same interests and hobbies as her. You know, we can be into MMA and she doesn't need to, and she can be into like, you know, watching some documentary. We don't need to. That's still fine. But if you can have a few big interests and hobbies, for example, let's say, okay, both of us like going to the gym, for example. Alex Hormozy said this, which I really like. He said, it exposes you to the same stimuli, which means that over time, you actually stay compatible with each other. I love that phrase. It exposes you to the same stimuli. So he was talking about him and his wife, and he said, there's two main things we like, business and fitness. And so we work together, we train together, and of course, you know, they train. He said that we work on opposite sides of the rooms. We never go into the same meetings. We like sometimes do separate workouts and stuff. But it means that we're both on the same life path, and that means that we're going to be exposed to the same stimuli. We're gonna like be developed in the same way. Someone who's really into fitness is most likely somewhat very similar to the other person who's really into fitness as well. That means your values develop. They start eating the same similar foods, they start understanding the same phrases, they have the same values, and they understand the same things. So if we started with hobbies, how much of your hobbies and interests overlap with your woman?
That's the only thing that I see a bit of lack, because, you know, for me, it's philosophy, it's, you know, finances, productivity, and fitness. And for her, she's trying to discover her hobbies. I've been encouraging her a lot because she didn't really have hobbies. So now she has a little bit of like digital art, which I'm also kind of into, but I think we definitely need to find something in common. That is the one that lacks. The mission, she also wants, like, this mission of being a mother for her is important. And the values of discipline is also something that I think she's improved on. I would say maybe just the interest is the one that is lacking right now.
I wouldn't say it's lacking, because it's totally normal for like a masculine man, feminine woman to have different interests. It's very normal. But I'd say one big interest that you both share together, for most couples, will just be the gym, really, because that can be male and female. And it's just really good to keep both people happy, keep both people like sexy and healthy and everything. But it's the first two which I think are the most important. It's, you want to live like this. You know, the mission is to live this life where you grow your children in a way that's very different to modern times. You want your children to be like the top of the class, the 1%, something like this, right? You want them to be really healthy. You need to make sure your woman has got the same kind of insights. Not just something, you know, like, because everyone says like, oh, I just want to have kids to make them healthy and stuff, but she genuinely, like, that's genuinely what she actually wants, and that's what she's actually like pushing towards. You see her making the right answer, like choices to that. If you can match the first two, mission and values, you're going on the same path. And I'm beginning to realize that that's actually like that's the key to that relationship where both of your hair turns gray whilst you're together.
That's beautiful. Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate that. And just because I need to outsource at least a little bit, like, for you, like, you said you've been thinking about kids in 2 years, haven't you?
Mm.
Yeah, and is it for you important to get married before having kids?
That's something I'm trying to decide on. So I was just speaking to my brother about it, and he was saying it as well. He was like, you know, he was saying it to me, like, I spoke highly about religion and stuff, so maybe I should consider getting married first. And it's tricky because I can see the value to it, but for me it doesn't like, it's not right to get married in a way that's not under the eyes of God. Because I don't want to just get married in front of like the government. It doesn't really seem very like real to me. Like there's still some value to it, but I think it's kind of like one of those where it's like the grass is greener kind of thing. Yeah, there's value to it, but there's also like, you know, a pointless side to it, a cost to it, a risk to it. So it's like, what's the point? And this isn't even me like being scared of like prenup or divorce or anything, because I expect, okay, we're gonna have lots of children. It's like at that point, if she wants to split up or something, it's like she's gonna get half of my money anyway. So I'm already like down for that. So it's just like, it doesn't feel authentic to me to get married right now, because I don't want to get married in front of the government, and I can't get married in front of the eyes of God when I don't really believe in God. So I'm in a very tricky situation, which is just kind of like, I assume there's going to be a time when I'll realize God, maybe a few years from now, maybe a year from now, you know, when it comes up in like my purpose and it becomes like something important for me to figure out. So it's not really in my mind. Right now, I've been making big progress to having children. I've just spoke to all my family yesterday, and I'm like, you know, for the first time having those deep conversations with my dad and telling him, like, I asked my dad yesterday, like, do you think I'm ready for children? I asked my brother as well. And they've actually gave, like, my ex-girlfriend, who I've pretty much got back together with her, but I asked them about her, and surprisingly, not even surprisingly, to be honest, but my family gave her the blessing, actually, because I just...
Nice.
Yeah, just she honestly, when I started to ask these type of questions of like, would she be a good partner? Would she be a good mother for my children? Astounding yes. All of these kinds of, like, I researched a lot for this, and I think those three questions are the most important. But the compatibility. Oh, one more thing is the effective communication. I'll explain that in a second. But yeah, every metric that I could find, like, that seems to be important, that like researchers say is like one of the most important, like, yeah, me and my girl were matching really well. The only thing that was against it was the red pill stuff of like body count, sexual past, and everything. And that's like that's very openly. Like I say it to my brother, I say it to my girl, and everything. I say it to her face, and that it's like, not only one, you know, statistically, it's, you know, you're like the average is likely to like cheat afterwards and, you know, be degenerates and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just because that part of my values is that it's fucking disgusting when a woman's had sex before you. Just personally, right? And I think a lot of guys do agree with this, but often we don't want to speak about it. I genuinely, like, there's nothing that's more disgusting than like a woman who's had sex before you when you love her, right? I just think that's totally fucking gross. It hurts me. Like, it feels like betrayal, even though she didn't know me, because it's like you gave your you gave a part of your soul to a guy who doesn't even give a fuck about you. It's a middle finger to me. That was especially because you gave your virginity to a random guy. Like, I believe women have two real gifts, like sacred gifts that they can give a man. They can birth his child, and they can give him her virginity. And so if she's given like, you know, she can still birth your child, and that's still really sacred. But that was like, virginity is a fucking prized gift. I know it sounds weird to say this, and in the modern day it is weird to say it, but the thing is, men have thought this for 100,000 years. So it's only in the last like 50 years we've thought that this is weird what I'm saying. But literally, the point of marriage was to exchange her virginity for your resources. That was literally the point of marriage. So that's the one thing I really fucking like. My value is clear. And the interesting thing is, like, hers is the exact fucking same. So when I say this, she's literally nodding her head saying, like, I know, like, I 100, like, I agree with you. If I knew that I was being a degenerate, like, what was wrong with it back then, I wouldn't have done it. I would like, she's like, oh, you know, Hamza, I wish I could go back in time and, like, save myself for you. I wish I could. But I can't, and like all I can do now is make sure my daughters don't do the same thing as me. And I'm like, man, that's the fucking best answer you could have said. You stupid bitch, bro. Like, why couldn't you have thought this like 10 years ago, you dumbass? But it's like that's the thing. So when I've openly said that to her, she literally agrees with me. I've openly said it to my brother, to even my father, and they literally agree with me that yeah, she's actually the right woman for me. So that's the thing. And the big reason why I've concluded this, and also the last point that I can say to you, is about effective communication. So we can say effective communication is how you handle all elements of a conflict. A good relationship, a long-term relationship, I believe, should probably have about 20 to 50,000 conflicts if you're going to be with each other. And the less conflicts you have, the shorter your relationship is going to be. You see, a lot of couples, they actually believe that they're doing a good thing, that they don't have conflicts. We never argue, we never disagree about things, and she's sucking dick on the side and he's watching porn and stuff, right? The couples who say like we never argue and stuff, it's not actually a good thing, because like Jordan Peterson says this, like, you're gonna rub off on each other. It's only normal that you've got this how does he say, sentimental human being next to you. It's only normal, man. Like, this is what he says. You've got to understand that when you do get into a relationship, you must navigate conflicts. Most people, because they think that a conflict is bad, like a disagreement is bad, saying like, I feel like this because you did this thing, right? Most people hide it inside of them. Either one, because they just don't want to break the miracle of the relationship, how clean it is, or two, for guys like me and maybe a bunch of guys here, we've kind of, we went down that sort of like red pill rabbit hole, be really alpha male, and that advice is amazing if you just want to fuck this girl. If you just want to fuck some random girl, don't show her any emotions, don't open up, don't talk about how you feel, literally just fuck. Sweet, okay, nice, that's it. If you just want to hook up with a girl, certainly don't ever talk about your emotions and stuff, right? But then there comes a time when you realize that, like, ejaculation is not that great. It's like, do you know what I mean? There's a whole life to be had, bro. Do you know what I mean? So there comes a time when you start to value, and you're there, Santi, like, you start to actually see, like, oh, like, the value of a long-term relationship. Like, trust me when I say, like, every few months it hits me, and like, it's almost like a new paradigm where I'm like, fuck me, having like a wife is 100 times more valuable than you thought it was. I can't even like explain it to you, because when it's as soon as you start to think, you know what, I'm not going to be like this red pill alpha male, I'm going to be as authentic as I possibly can, because that actually makes me more of a superior man instead of like some red pill guy, right? And when I feel fear, I will express the fear. When I feel hurt, neglected, when I feel anxious, I will express this. Then you start to realize that if you can express the real thought, the real feeling that you get, you're actually then able to show her your real self and then see how she responds to this conflict. Because if she responds and thinks that you're a pussy and thinks that, she thinks of you worse because you've spoke about your values and how you're feeling, then you're not compatible with her. The real way to get into like a good relationship is to be with the kind of woman that she actually takes these mini conflicts seriously. So you could say something like, yeah, I'm just going to be honest, like, you didn't reply for like a few hours yesterday, and I actually started to feel quite anxious because of that. And you state it, not in this needy way, but just as kind of like a fact, because you want to be in a long-term relationship with a woman who can hear that and say, oh, well, I'm sorry for that, and I didn't realize that that's how you would feel. How can I make you feel better? And then she says, you know what, like I feel anxious right now, and this, and you know, I saw you looking at that waitress yesterday, and it really hurt, and that's why I took a while to respond, because you know what, I was just kind of like angry at you, but I should have said something to you. And imagine straight after that, okay, you're literally on level 2 of your relationship right now. Most people are still stuck at level 1, and they've been married for like 5 years, and this conversation gets you to level 2. We can go to level 50,000. And after like level 100, you literally would be like these strong advocates for marriage. Most people stay stuck at level 1. They never have this conversation because they're scared of the confidence that it takes to be able to just say something like that. So Santi, you would have had a conversation with your girl at one point to talk about like her friends back at home. You would have talked about these things. You could have ignored it. You could have been the alpha male who's indifferent, who doesn't care about these things. And the thing is, if you did that, you actually would have been a weaker guy, because you would have just been overthinking instead. You never would have expressed how you feel. And then you would have been living like this lie. You would have been pretending, and you would have just been like unconscious, you know, like mindless and overthinking when you're next to her. Sometimes you're next to her, sometimes you're making love and you're thinking about that thing that you've not spoke about. And this is where the great happens on relationships. This is where that friction happens.
Wow. Shit, man. Amazing. No, thank you so much, bro. And also I just wanted to say, like, I'm very happy for you. Your girl sounded like she made you really happy, and yeah, it just brought a smile to my face to hear that. That is back again, and I wish you the best, brother.
Thank you for saying that, Santi.
Adonis School is a private online community that you can join to make friends who are just like you, who are on self-improvement, who are meditating, exercising, delaying gratification, who aren't degenerates. It's the hub spot for all of the people on self-improvement. We're all in here literally doing these good habits, reading these books, having these discussions, talking about this stuff online. I'm active in there. And I think it's an exceptional place for you to just make friends who are similar to you, because a lot of my audience have told me, it's a very common experience, that when you really do start to implement the advice that I give out, naturally you have less things in common with the people that you've known already. And so it's a very common experience for young people who follow my videos who end up just getting lonely because there's no one that you can relate to. Your family don't understand you anymore, and your friends are kind of Jeffries, and you can, you're kind of still attached to those old people who are part of the previous chapter of your life because you just don't want to be lonely right now. And so Adonis School is made for you. It has outstanding customer reviews that are all verified, and you can have a look at that on the website, which I'll link below. There's a lot of quite like high value successful guys in there that I personally added. We're not going to expect them to be too active because they're obviously busy, but I literally just sent the link to all of like my high value successful friends. We've got Sneeko in there, Luke Belmar's in there, and he posts every now and then as well. He posts quite frequently some like good, he calls it data sets. Chris Williamson, Derek from More Plates, More Dates, First Man, and a bunch of like friends I met in Dubai who make a lot of money and stuff. You know, I just sent the link to them so they could join, and then we've got a lot, like everyone's in here, they're all just like you in here. If you're interested to that, you can go to hamza-ahmed.com/school. It's the top link in the description. Just go there right now.